Hey y'all, welcome back to my live show. This show is dedicated to helping coaches build thriving online businesses. So I work with coaches, I work with professionals, and in essence, I help them to build their personal brands. I help them to create high ticket offers, and then I teach them how to sell those offers online, which goes into what we're going to talk about today. I know you've probably seen it in the subject that today I'm talking about the power of launching. So in this session, I'm going to talk to you about the exciting world of launching because it is exciting, even though I know that launching can be intimidating for some people. It's actually very exciting if you decide to embrace it. If you decide to grab launching by the horns and go all the way in, it can do extraordinary things for your business. So we're going to talk about the exciting world of launching a program. And then I'm going to go into the benefits of launching and how it helps you to establish yourself as an expert. And then I'll talk about the key components for a successful launch. So I'll cover some of the things that you need to launch, and then some of the things that you don't need, right? Because sometimes there's things that you feel like you need that you really don't. And so, some people find themselves waiting for certain things that they don't really need. So you're just kind of stuck, and you don't need to be stuck. So we'll talk about some of the things that you need and some of the things that you don't need in order to pull off a successful launch. So the first thing that I want to say is that um, launching a program is it's a great feat to take on, but it's also super rewarding and so exciting, not just for you, but for your ideal clients. And what I've discovered with working with coaches and consultants and experts and professionals who are expanding into the online space is that what some people think a launch is not really a launch. And so for me, I had to really kind of navigate through the space of understanding that when I say launch, some people are thinking something different. And so what I will tell you is that launching a program is not about making a post. Okay. Some people feel like when I make a post announcing my new program, then that's my launch. But I'm here to dispel that rumor and help you to see that not only is launching very rewarding, but it's also there are also a lot of moving pieces, and it's bigger than just making a post. Right? Posting is only a very small part of launching, but when you launch something, to launch something means to set in motion. Right? It means to set something in motion. And for example, when I was in the Navy, I lived on board a couple of different warships, and I'm laughing at myself because I always say, listen, I've lived on board warships. Like once you live on board a warship, live on board a warship. I'm like, nothing in life should be as stressful as living on board a warship. But so I lived on board a few different warships, and when we go out to sea, we call that getting underway. So when we get underway, that means that ship has left. Listen, we have left the pier, right? You can no longer just walk down the pier and then walk up a ramp and get on board that ship. We have left the pier. We are underway. Okay. And so when we get underway or we go out to sea, there are a lot of moving pieces that go along with getting underway, right? It's bigger than just removing the ropes from the pier and then just floating out, right? There's a lot of different things that we have to do. And so I said all that to say that when you launch a program, it's kind of like, when a Navy ship gets underway. And I'm sure cruise ships are probably like that too. However, you cannot pay me enough money to take a cruise, right? I joke about this with my husband all the time. You cannot pay me enough money to pay to go on a cruise. I did a lot of free cruises when I was in the Navy. But anyway, so when you look at the ship, when the ship goes out to sea, there are a lot of things that we start to do before that actual moment. And what I'm finding is that a lot of people struggle because they're making the post and they're saying, hey, I got this program, and click here or send me a DM to sign up for it. And it's not enough to get people excited about working with you. So when I was in the Navy, we started working on getting underway well in advance before the day that we actually went out to sea. So by the time we get to the day where it's time to like leave the pier and get underway, we've already done all of the pre-work, right? There's a lot of pre-work that goes into it. There's certain maintenance that has to be done on certain pieces of equipment. There's certain things that we have to order. There's certain messages that we have to send out. We have to stock up on food and supplies and all kinds of things. And so there's a lot going on. So launches can seem intimidating because there are a lot going on. However, if you prepare for your launch leading up to it, when it comes to the day for you to launch, you'll be able to launch with ease. You'll be able to launch with confidence because you've done all of the pre-work. Okay. So that's the one thing about launching, is that there's a lot of pre-work that goes into it, but you can take the pre-work step by step, piece by piece, so that your launch can go smoothly. So I said all that to just remind you that launching is so much bigger than a post. We're going to talk about some of those things today. We'll talk about some of those moving pieces that I just talked about before we finish today. So the first thing I want to talk about, the benefits of launching a program. Now, I know that there's so many different opinions and ideas about launching, and I even know that some people, surprisingly, hopefully this is not you, but some people they barely even want to talk to their clients. Okay. So the number one benefit of launching is that you get the blessed opportunity to connect with your ideal clients. You get the opportunity to connect with them in real time, right? This is when you're live launching. There's so many different styles of doing a live launch. But when you're launching in person, you get to engage with your dream clients in real time. You guys, that is priceless. We're living in a world right now of artificial intelligence, right? Of automation. If you can step out of that world, right? If you can step out of the matrix and step into real time and engage with your ideal clients, that is priceless. This is how my business has been so successful, because I know exactly what to create. I know exactly what to offer. I know what kind of content to create because I engage with my audience on a regular basis. So in a world of artificial intelligence and in the world of automation, engaging with your clients in real time is priceless, not just for them, but also for you. They get the opportunity to get to know you, like you, and trust you. And we know that those are the basics of somebody investing with you, right? They need to know you, like you, and trust you. But if you never show up, if you never engage with them, how do they get that opportunity to know you, like you, and trust you? Okay. Now, for me, I'm an introvert, and I'm usually not the one who is so quick to start. If you walk into a room, you know, if I have my extrovert switch on, you may catch me talking and having conversations with people. But for the most part, I usually do a lot of observation before I start talking. Before I start connecting with people, I'm just observing. Why? Because I get to know people through watching their actions, right? Through just sitting in a room with them, watching their actions, paying attention to their behaviors, hearing what they speak about, right? So your audience, the way that they get to know you is by hearing you speak, by watching your behaviors, by listening to the things that you say. This is why I encourage my clients to create new content every single week so that they can engage with their audience, so that they can start conversations, right? I encourage my clients to be leaders in their space, in their areas that God has given them, right? The areas that they are assigned to, I encourage them to be leaders in their spaces. Because when you lead, you show up. And the way that you close sales is by showing up and engaging with people, right? So for those the people who I talked about, you guys, and this is real, there are some people who they want to have a successful coaching program, but they want everything to be automated. They don't want to talk to their ideal clients. They just want people to click a link and join their program. But when you launch, when you show up, when you engage, you really set yourself apart. You're showing your ideal clients, you're showing your audience that you are present and you're ready to serve, right? And even now, you guys, during the summertime, most people are in chill mode. Most people are relaxing. Most people are going on vacations. And I do believe, like the scriptures say, that there's a time for everything, right? There's a time to rest and there's a time to work. But I think a lot of professionals, coaches, experts, I think that a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of what I'm seeing is people are they're resting, which is great. I'm not saying that you should not rest, right? I'm a big champion for resting, and I encourage it. However, not resting to the point where you're not getting things done, right? Because look, we work and then we rest, right? There's a time to work, there's a time to rest. some people are resting too much, if you know what I mean, right? And they're not hitting their goals. They're not making the kind of money they want to make because they don't have the balance, right? You got to have a nice balance between working and resting, right? Not doing too much of the other when you have a whole business that you're trying to run. You got to put the work in, but you also you have to get your rest on, but not to the point where your business is struggling because you've been resting for too long. Okay. So listen, your audience needs the opportunity to get to know you. Sometimes you struggle to sell your program because your audience, they don't have enough information and they don't have enough education to be able to invest with you. And the reason why is because you haven't showed up for them, right? You haven't considered doing a launch. So when you launch, in essence, when I talked about earlier, there are a lot of different moving pieces to launching. But the number one benefit of launching is connecting with your audience, connecting with your ideal clients in real time. They get to know you, you get to know them. I have people who I talk to on a regular basis because I got to know them through a launch, okay? And so connecting with your ideal clients in real time is very beneficial because you get an understanding of what they're struggling with. They tell you what they need from you. You start to understand different concepts, and there's a whole different ball game when you get boots on the ground experience. Boots on the ground experience is actually engaging and connecting and getting to know your clients and understanding what they actually need and how you can support them. So the other really awesome thing about launching is you generate excitement and you generate a sense of urgency, and you attract people. You start attracting a committed audience. You start building an audience of raving fans, and you get that excitement. You get that momentum going. Listen, the momentum that I have been able to generate during a launch is priceless, and I cannot compare any other thing to it. Just something about launching that stirs up an amazing kind of momentum that can propel your business forward. So you create excitement, you get a sense of urgency. And the reason why I say urgency is because when you start breaking mindsets, and this is one thing that I teach my clients how to do, when you start breaking false mindsets, the next step that people want to take is your program, right? So if you're launching, and let's say you're doing a presentation during your launch and you crush a false belief, what happens when you crush a false belief? That false belief may have been keeping that person from taking the next step with you or with anybody else. And so when you break that false belief, the next step is, oh my goodness, you mean I don't have to be this, or you mean I don't need this certain thing? Oh, okay. I have been stuck because I've been thinking I needed this one thing. Now I'm ready to move forward because now I see that I don't need that anymore. Okay. So for me, for example, my ideal clients think they need a fancy website, or they think they need a website, period. They think they need a large following, right? These are some of the things that I'm going to talk about in just a little while, about some of the things that you don't necessarily need to do a launch. And so what happens is when I'm telling them, listen, you don't need a website. And the next step is, wait a minute, you mean I don't need a website? I've been waiting for a whole year to come up with the funds to build a website. And now I realize I don't need it. Okay, now I'm ready to take that next step, right? That's what I mean by urgency. Okay. Now there's two different types of urgency that I talk about. One of them is what I just said. The other one is creating urgency by setting deadlines and having bonuses that expire and things like that. But in this particular case, I'm talking about urgency, meaning you're breaking those false beliefs, and now people are ready to move forward because now they're like, listen, I've been delayed for too long. Now I'm ready to take the next step. So the other benefit of doing a launch is you get to showcase your expertise. People get to see you in action. And let me tell you, when I don't know about you, but when I see a person doing what they're called to do, I get so inspired. It doesn't matter what that thing is. When I see a person in their element and doing what they're called to do, what they're gifted to do, is so powerful and so inspirational. It could be singing, it could be teaching, it could be sports, it could be whatever that person is called to do. When I see them in their element doing their thing, I feel inspired, I feel motivated. When you launch, your ideal clients get to see you doing your thing. They get to see you in your element. And guess what? When they invest with you, they're buying into that. They're buying into that inspiration that comes with them seeing you in your element. When they see you in your element, you show them that you can do what you say you can do, and they grab a hold of that. So you're demonstrating your expertise, and you're positioning yourself as a leader. Okay, launching positions you as a leader, and over time, it really does have a great impact on your brand. And this is what I'm always trying to get my clients to understand, is that you launch and then you keep doing it over and over again. Okay. One myth about launching is that it's just something that you just do once, right? Launching is something that you do over and over and over again. Why? Because imagine someone constantly seeing you doing your thing, even if they never invest with you. I have people who aren't my ideal clients, but they bring me people who are my ideal clients because they see me launching, they see me teaching, and they see me in my element. And when they come across somebody who needs my services, they're like, hey, I know somebody that can help you to do this thing. But the thing is that over time, you build a reputation of someone who knows whatever it is that you do, right? You build a reputation of someone who can get the job done, someone who can help people get to the next level. And that happens consistently over time. So when you're launching, you're reinforcing to your audience that, hey, I can do what I say I can do, right? This is what I can do. And this is how I can help you get ahead. Okay. So launching can, just for a quick recap for the benefits of launching. Launching can give you the opportunity to engage with your ideal clients in real time, and that's priceless. And I feel that artificial intelligence and automation, listen, there still is a need for authentic connectivity. There's a need for authentic connection. We are designed to want to connect. We're designed to want to be in a circle with other people, connected with other people. That's how we are by nature. Even if you're an introvert like me, right? I still have a desire to connect with people. But for me, the difference for me is I have a desire for really close relationships. I don't need a lot of relationships. I have very few, very deep relationships. And even with my clients probably know more about me than most people, right? Because I have deep relationships with my clients. I work with them for an entire year. And so they know a lot about me. But I have that still have that desire to be connected, right? It's just how we're designed. And so that's one of the benefits of you doing a launch, is connecting with your people and them connecting with you. And they get enough information and education to make a decision on investing with you, okay? Sometimes when people don't invest, it's because they don't have enough information or education, okay, in order to make a decision. So when you launch, you also get to demonstrate your expertise and position yourself as an industry leader. Now, let's talk about really focusing on establishing yourself as an expert through launching. So I talked about how when you launch, you really position yourself as an expert and you get to demonstrate your expertise, but also launching can elevate your status. It can elevate your status as an expert. And here's the other thing, y'all. When you are new to having a coaching business or an online business where you sell your knowledge or your expertise, or where you provide a service, it is so important to have credibility and authority. Okay. You need credibility, meaning people, you are a credible expert, meaning people know and believe that you can do what you say you can do. And you need authority. Authority is the power to influence. Okay. So you need authority, you need credibility, and you need authority. When you launch, you are hitting both of those boxes. You're covering the credibility aspect because you're demonstrating your expertise, and you're also building authority. Okay. When you are in front of a camera and you are speaking, that is instant authority. Okay. So you also build your reputation. These are the things that go into establishing yourself as an expert and as a leader. Okay. You're building your expertise, you're building your reputation. So if you are new to coaching, launching is the way to go, because when you launch, you build credibility and authority at the same time. Okay. So some people, when they're first starting, they're concerned because they're like, well, I'm new. Who's gonna invest with me? Who's gonna buy my program if I'm new? They will when they're able to see your expertise, when they're able to connect with you and get to know you, they will. Okay. So if you're just coming out of if you're just coming from the backside of the mountain and you're like, hey, I've got this program, and people are like, well, I don't know who this person is. I don't even know if they can do what they say they can do, right? They're not going to invest with you if they don't know you, like you, and trust you. And if they don't believe that you can do what you say you can do. But if you launch, then you cover all of those boxes and people will invest with you. Okay. So let's take a few steps back really quickly. And I want to talk a little bit about what I mean when I say launch, because I told you before that I've discovered that a lot of people think that launching is just making a post. Okay. When I say launch, I mean hosting what I call a conversion event. And the purpose of a conversion event is to invite people, and these people need to be your ideal clients, of course, right? They need to be people who are a great fit for your services, your product, your program. And the conversion event, the purpose of the conversion event is to, number one, connect with your audience, connect with your ideal clients. And then number two, convert your ideal clients into actual buyers. So you want to take people from being a spectator in your conversion event to buying from you, okay? And the reason why I say that the first thing you want to do is you want to connect with people, because connections is how you build a business. Connecting with people is how your business is going to be successful, is how you are going to thrive. Relationships, I always say this, connecting is the new currency, because who you are connected with can directly impact how much money you make. Okay. So I say, number one, the focus is to connect with people. Okay. Because even if a person doesn't buy during that specific launch, they may buy in your next launch or the third launch. And this is why it's important for you to launch multiple times, right? So when you plan out your calendar for the year, you should have some launches mapped out in that plan. And so one of my first launches I did was a webinar, and this was, I am stumped because I have to really go back and think about what year that was when I did my first webinar. I think it was back in 2012, I think. I'm trying to remember, but I'll just say it like this. It was a long time ago, right? My first launch was a long time ago. And what I learned from that is I learned quite a few things from launching. I learned that the content that I share in my launch needs to be strategic. And I also learned that it's really important to connect with people during that time, like I just said before. So the two things that helped me during my first launch was making sure my content was strategic. When you launch, it's not like your regular weekly content if you're sharing weekly content. And if you're not sharing weekly content, you should be. But it's not like just your regular weekly content. Your launch content has to be very strategic. Why? Because your goal is to convert. You want to convert. And when I say convert, I mean, when you convert someone, that means they take action. They take the action that you're trying to inspire them to take, whether it's them clicking on your link and downloading your freebie, or whether it's them buying your product or enrolling in your program. Those are conversions, right? So a conversion is when you take someone from a prospect to a paying client or customer, okay? Or you take someone from a prospect to them coming into your platform, from prospect to platform, or from prospect to paying. So those are conversions. And so what happens is when you host a conversion event, you share your content, you break some false beliefs, and you make an offer. Okay, that's what I mean by launch, right? It's a conversion event is an event that you host and that you invite as many ideal clients as you can to that event. You make a presentation, and then you spend time engaging and connecting, and you make an offer. Okay, but it gives people the option, the opportunity to connect with you, and you the opportunity to connect with them. And then they have enough information and education to make a decision on whether or not they want to invest with you. Okay. So that's what I mean by launch. But the thing is, there's so many different moving pieces to pulling off a successful launch, right? It's not just about making a post. There's so much stuff that goes into it. Okay. So the other thing, when you're launching and you're demonstrating your expertise, you want to talk about you want to share some stories. This is some of the stuff that I talk with my clients about, because a part of your launch is allowing people to get to know you, right? So you want to share some stories, you can share some client wins. And if you don't have client wins yet, there's still some ways that you can share some stories that make people feel inspired, and it makes people trust you, and they feel like they know more about you and what you offer. I don't know about you, but for me, I don't want to work with anybody who my personality clashes with, right? So when I see a person and they're in their element, then I can decide, okay, I think this person's personality will work well for me. Now, for me, when I'm in different phases of life and business, I may need something different. Sometimes I may need like a drill sergeant type of personality, right? To help me to push into my next level. But then sometimes I may need the girlfriend type to come alongside me and say, "Hey, girl, what are you launching this week, or what are you working on? What are your revenue goals?" Right? So, and then sometimes I just need somebody to say, "Girl, I know that didn't go that well, but you know what? Let's just stay focused, and let's just relaunch it. Let's just redo this thing. You still got this." So at different places, different phases, I may need something different, right? But listen, the only way your ideal clients are going to see that you are what they need is by you showing up, right? And you demonstrating your expertise. So you want to share stories, you want to give them the opportunity to get to know you. And you want to make sure you're spending time connecting. So if I had to say, um, the biggest thing you want to focus on, you want to give amazing content, right? The two biggest things: amazing content, but you also want to make sure you're spending time connecting. I know I've said that like 20,000 times throughout this broadcast, but that's how important it is to focus on connecting with people. Whether it's you doing the actual connecting or whether it's someone from your team, you got to have that connection component there, because listen, especially during this time, you guys, people are not spending money with anyone that they don't trust. No one is investing with people that they don't trust, right? People work hard for their money, and they want to make sure when they spend it that they're spending it in a good place, and they want to make sure they're going to get a return on that investment, right? And the way that they come to know that and understand that they're going to get a return on their investment with you is by them seeing you in action, by them getting to know you, like you, and trust you. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the things that you need when it comes to a successful launch. I talked about some of the things earlier that you need, and some of the things that you don't need. Okay, but I want to just do a quick take a quick moment and just really talk about some of the things that you need and don't need, so that you can decide, okay, you know what, this is something that I really want to do. So launching is something that I help my clients with. I help them with their launch content. I help them with their launch emails, sequences, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about. I help them with everything from how to put their launch together, how to start getting people into those launches, and so forth. So if you're a person, you're like, you know what, I feel like that's what's missing from my business, I need to do a launch of my program, just send me a message and we can talk about how I can help you to launch your program. So the things that you need for a successful launch. Okay, so I always say this, and you've heard, some of you probably already know what I'm getting ready to say. Okay, but you need an email list. You need an email list when you're getting ready to do a launch. Now, I know that an email list can seem frustrating and intimidating. My clients tell me too. As a matter of fact, two of my clients recently told me, they're like, listen, it's just a little bit complicated. So I just kind of put that on hold right now. And so, but the thing is, it's worth it to understand how to put your email list together, because a large percentage of people still buy from email. I'm an email type buyer. I'm one of those people, if I know you, like you, and trust you already, and you send me an email with a link in it, it could be a high ticket product, it could be a low ticket product, it could be a live event. If I already know you, like you, and trust you, I will click that link and buy, right? So a large percentage of people still buy from email. But the other thing is, if you're launching and you don't have an email list, you're missing out on a large portion of launching, which is connecting with people, right? Email is one means to connect with people. And you're also missing out on a large part of the sales process, because some people, they'll watch your presentation, but they'll buy when you send when you send those emails out. And so your email system is a large part of your sales process during a launch. And so it's really important that you have an email list as a part of your launch. So you can connect with people through those emails, but you also start to build your email list by launching. Imagine if you do a launch, imagine if you do, 5 launches a year. From all 5 of those launches, you're going to have new people signing up. And by the end of the year, you will have an email list that has grown because of your launches. But the thing to understand is people don't always buy from your first launch. I've had people go through 3 of my launches and then they buy, right? So when I launch once, then I do what I do. I teach, I do my presentations. And then when I get ready to do another launch, I'll go back and invite those people back and say, hey, come on and go through this launch with me again. And a lot of them do. A lot of them do. I have a lot of repeat launch participants. They come, they hang out, we chat, and it's just a beautiful thing. But sometimes it may take 2, 3, 4, or 5 launches for somebody to actually invest with you. But when you're focusing on building a business that's going to provide for you and for your family for the long run, then you understand that this is a strategy that pays off over time, right? It's not necessarily something that's going to start paying off overnight, but it takes time to put your list together. It takes time to cultivate your list. It takes time to grow it. And so, but I'm telling you, when you get to a point where you could just send out an email with an offer and make $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 from just sending out an email, that's the reward for building your email list, right? So your email list is not just for your launch, but it's something that's going to grow your business, right? So there's so many benefits to having an email list. Maybe we'll save that for another day. But you need an email list so you can collect email addresses of people who are signing up for your launch, okay? And the email list, like I said, I know it can seem very intimidating. If it's not something that you're able to do yourself, maybe you can find somebody to help you do it. But I always tell my clients, there's so many videos out there, right? Every email list provider has tons of educational videos to help you to set your email list up. You can sit down and go step by step through those videos. And if it's not for you, maybe you can find somebody to do it for you. You can hire somebody to set your email list up, okay? Or you can sit down and work through doing it yourself. Now, for some people who are technically challenged, I definitely understand that. Like, technology can be difficult. And even for me, I have a degree in computer studies, and I was in the Navy. I was in IT in the Navy for 10 years. And sometimes technology still frustrates me. So I know how it can be when setting an email list up. But I promise you, it is absolutely worth it for you to take the time to figure out how to get your email list up and running, even if you're not the one who's doing it. Even if you have to go and find somebody and say, hey, set this thing up for me, right? Even if you have a teenager in the house, listen, these teenagers can do amazing things online, right? If you have a teen, as a matter of fact, my daughter, she's 12, she's a preteen. She can do incredible things on a computer. It's amazing what they're teaching these kids in school these days. But if you have a teenager in the house and you can, sit them down and say, hey, listen, I need you to do this for me. And, I'm a pay you this much, right? Look, put them on the payroll. But it's worth it to find a way and to figure out how to get that email list up and running. It's a very important part of building an online business. And so getting that email list up is going to benefit your launch and your business for the long run. So when you get your email list together, you have another opportunity to connect with your ideal clients, and you have what's called a sales sequence that you're going to send out. That's going to be your follow-up. When you're done with the launch, you're going to send out a sales sequence, or what some people call a follow-up sequence. That's a very important part of the marketing for your launch. These people have signed up to connect with you. And you want to make sure that you're staying connected with them and you're following up with them. Now, the other thing too about having an email list is, even if they don't buy from your launch, they may buy later on from you, buy a different offer. If they don't buy your program during the launch, or whatever you're offering during the launch, they may be a great candidate for something else that you offer along, down the line. So you definitely need an email list. You need a what I call a warm-up sequence. So you're going to get that email list. So I'm going to walk you through what it looks like, just in case you're like, girl, I have no idea what you're talking about. So this is what it looks like, right? When they sign up for your launch, they're going to put their name and email address into your page, and that name and email address is going to go onto your email list, right? You're going to log into your email list provider, and you're going to schedule these emails to go out. You're going to automate these emails, right? So that way you're not bogged down with emails during your launch. So the warm-up sequence is what I call it a warm-up sequence. And your warm-up sequence is what you send out to keep people who have signed up, to keep them warm until the launch. Because what happens is people sign up for things, and then 3 weeks later, when it's time for the launch, they have forgotten all about it. They've forgotten who you are. They don't remember they signed up for this thing. I'm that person, right? I will sign up for something, and then like 3 weeks later, I'm like, I forgot that I signed up for it. Who is this person? How did I get on their email list, right? So your warm-up sequence keeps them warm, right? It keeps you in front of them until it's time to launch, right? So you need that warm-up sequence. And then you need emails during the launch so that people can stay on top of what's going on. So the reminders, when you're reminding people, hey, we're live at this time, or this is what's going on. This is what time we're starting. Here's the replay. Those types of emails during your launch, and then you need a follow-up sequence. Your follow-up sequence is what you send out after the launch, after you're finished with the launch, the presentation part of your launch. And I call it a sales sequence or a follow-up sequence, because that's the biggest part of your marketing is your follow-up sequence. Okay, so you're going to need that warm-up sequence. You're going to need emails that are going out during your launch to remind people so they know where to be and when. And also for your replays, if you're doing replays. And then you need your sales sequence. And so that's why it's so important for you to have an email list, because just watching a video, some people are going to click on your presentation and then they're going to click off, and you're never going to hear from them again. But if they watch your presentation, maybe they were busy. Maybe they watched the first 15 minutes and they had to go and do something, right? But if they're on your email list because they signed up for your launch, you could send them the replay and say, hey, just in case you missed it, here's a replay to this session. And then you want them to hear what you have to say. You want them to see you in your element, because that is the thing that's going to inspire them to want to invest with you. Them seeing you and your amazing self in action. Okay. So the other thing that you need for launching. So I talked about how you need that email list. You need to have those sequences, and I teach and help with all of this. I have templates, sales, welcome sequence, sales sequences, all kinds of templates to help you to put your sequences together. And like I said, these things can be automated, so you don't have to stress out, right? Remember when I talked about how when you're preparing for launch, you start doing the things, the pre-launch things, so that you're not frustrated, you're not overwhelmed when it's actually time to launch. So let's say we're in June, right? So let's say you want to plan a launch for August. You can set your date for August, and you can start doing the pre-work. And then when it's August and it's time for you to launch, you've already got all of these things done, right? And this is how you launch without feeling overwhelmed. And guess what? Once you set everything up that first time, you do a rinse and repeat for your next launch, right? Let's say you do your first launch, you plan your first launch from 60 days from now. And then let's say that you got all of your stuff. You did your warm-up sequence. You did your mid sequence what you're sending out during your launch, and then you did your sales sequence. And let's say you put your presentation together and you did all the things, right? You got people on your email list, you got people excited about the launch. When you get ready to do that launch again, you can use the exact same assets that you've already created. You can use those again, so that way your next launch is a lot easier for you. Okay, so you do those things once, and then you rinse and repeat. Now, you need a really awesome presentation, right? And remember when I said when you present during launch, it's not like your regular live. Like, for example, if you ever attend one of my launches, my teaching style is a little bit different during my launch than when I'm just live with you every week. My content is more strategic when I'm launching. And so your content does need to be strategic. When you launch, I really try to help my clients to understand this. And I help them to map out their content in a way that is strategic, because the goal is to convert, right? The goal is to connect with people, and the goal is also to convert. Okay. So because of that, your content has to be strategic. We're going to be talking about this in my messaging, my brand messaging intensive that's coming up. Some of you have, I got to send out some more invitations, but some of you have already received the information about my brand messaging intensive that I have coming up. I'm taking a handful of ladies through 6 weeks of deep diving into their brand messaging. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is how to lay your content out for your launch so that it's strategic and you're setting yourself up to sell. You're setting yourself up to make an offer, and you're going to do it with confidence, and you're going to do it with ease. So that's one of the things that we'll be covering in that intensive that I have coming up. So you need you need that email list, you need an awesome presentation, and it has to be strategic. Okay. And here's some of the stuff that you don't need. Like, a lot of people feel like, oh, I need a large audience. You do not need a large audience to do a launch. I did a launch with 60 people and made $25,000 with 60 people. Okay. And I know of people who have done more, made more with even a smaller group. Okay. You do not need a large audience to launch. Okay. So just let that sink in for a minute. You don't need a big audience. You do not need a bunch of fancy equipment. Okay. You don't need a website. You need, when you launch, you need to get your email list together. And listen, if you're just starting, and let's say, you I've been really focusing more on working with professionals who are transitioning to online, right? So if you are in a professional space, let's say you work a full-time job, and that's why I meet with people at night. I meet with my clients in the evening because a lot of my clients work full-time jobs. So we meet at night. So if you work a full-time job and you have a lot of stuff that you have going on, then, there's some ways that you can still, make sure you have a successful launch. But a lot of my clients are they're working in their full-time jobs. So, because I'm working a lot more with professionals who are transitioning into the online space, some of them are really new to doing this in the online space. So they're not new to what they do. They're experts at what they do. They're just new to doing it online in a business setting, right? So if this is something, if you're starting out and you're new, believe me, I got the strategies to help you to you can still make a lot of money. Okay. So I'll just summarize like that. You can still make a lot of money being brand new, because the way that I work with my clients is I help them with their positioning. So even when you are launching, you're not coming off as new. You're coming off as confident, and you're coming off as powerful, because being new is not the same as being new to doing it in a business setting. Okay. And so if you are brand new to doing this business online, or even if you're in the early stages, putting on a launch can be something that can be super beneficial for your business. And for a lot of you, this is the missing piece. Okay. Launching is the piece that's missing in your business. So when I talk about launching, I talk about the different ways to launch and how you can find a launch style that works for you. For me, I used to always do webinars. I always only did webinars. So I would put together a PowerPoint, and then I would do my webinar, and then I would make my offer. And then I started doing 5 to 9 day launches, and I love those too. And I've also done launches where it's not a presentation like a PowerPoint presentation and me talking, but it's just me talking directly to the camera. There also you could also do like a series where you do a certain amount of trainings that you release over a certain amount of time. And I see a lot of people do those launches too. That's not something that I have done myself, but I have helped clients to map out different styles of launching. So I said all that to say that there are a lot of different ways to launch. But the big thing is, first of all, I always encourage my clients to do it live. Whether you do a webinar, whether you want to do a training series, where you do like certain trainings on certain days over a certain a period of time, or if you want to do a 5-day challenge or a 7-day challenge, or a 5 to 7 day workshop. There's so many different things that you can do when you launch, as long as you have the main components that you need: connecting with people and having those conversations, making offers. You're going to be just fine. And you don't have to, launching does not have to be overwhelming for you, right? It could be something that you do. You could work it at your own pace, right? You could do everything you need to do before the big day or the big days if you're doing multiple days. And you can have all of those things down before it's actually time for you to launch, to decrease the overwhelm so that you can show up and be your best self. You can also bring in some help, right? You can bring in people to help you to accomplish a successful launch, okay? So you don't need a big following. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment. You need an offer and you need a way to get paid, okay? If you're brand new to launching, or you're new to doing this in the online space, you cannot show up looking like you've been doing this for 20 years, right? A lot of times people want to show up in the online space and they want to look like they've been doing this for 20 years because they're looking at somebody else who's been doing this for 20 years. Not only have they been doing this for 20 years, but they have a team of like 50 people, and you're trying to look like that person. Guys, that does not make any sense at all, right? You can only start from where you are, right? We all start from the beginning. So that person who's been doing this for 20 years and they've got a team of 50 people helping them, they started from the beginning, right? And then they grew into that. So you start with what you have. And I promise you, like, the whole thing with launching is keeping it as simple as you can. Okay. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. You want to keep it simple. I saw an ad the other day, and y'all, it was so simple. There was no fancy fonts. There was no like bizarre color combinations. It was just so plain and so simple, but it was so powerful. And I was like, this is amazing because it's not over the top. It's very clear and it's very persuasive, right? It was a compelling message. And that's like really like the biggest things that you need. And these are the things that I help with. I help with your messaging. I help you to structure your content for your launch. And I show you how I give you a sales sequence that you can go and model and do your own sales sequence and things like that. But the biggest thing is belief, right? You just got to believe that you can actually do this. And you should, by all means, you should do it. So you don't need a whole bunch of fancy equipment. If you have your offer and you have a way to collect payment, that's really all you need, right? You got your offer, you got a way to collect payment, you got your email list, and you need a place to gather your people to launch, right? I forgot to cover that earlier. You need a place to gather your people. Where are you going to where's your platform? How are they going to watch you? How are they going to listen to you and hear you, right? You need to have a place to be able to do that. You could use Zoom, you could use social media. Listen, y'all, social media has created a lot of 6, 7, and 8 figure entrepreneurs because social media is the only place where we can go and connect with people from all around the world at the same time, right? So you can leverage social media. That's free, by the way, right? Something that you don't have to come out of pocket. And that's what I was getting at earlier when I said, if you're brand new, whether you're professional or if you're just full-time entrepreneur, you need to save all the money you can, right? Minimize as many expenses as you can. Use the power of social media, you guys. It's free to us, unless you want to run ads, of course. But there are tons of ways you can do this organically, meaning not paying for ads, but use what's available to you. Use what's already in your hands, right? You could do amazing things with organic, not paying, with organic traffic right from social media. Okay, so you want to minimize as many expenses as you possibly can by just keeping it simple, right? Simple but powerful. That's the idea that you want to have when you're putting your launch together. You want to think, how can I keep things simple but also show up powerfully and deliver the message and serve my people? Because really, you guys, that's what launching in essence is all about. It is about serving your people. It's about serving your ideal clients. Okay. And so you want to think about what are the most important things you're going to need, okay? Your email list, you're going to need a powerful presentation, and you're also going to need a place to gather your people. You need an offer and you need a way to get paid, right? That's at a minimum what you need to be able to pull off a successful launch. Okay, you don't need a fancy website. You don't need a large following. You don't need to be you don't need to be a guru either. Okay, you don't have to be the person who's like, oh yeah, I've been in this space for 25 years. You don't need all of that, right? Because here, let me tell you the truth. Your ideal clients don't really care like how long you've been doing this. What matters to them is, can you solve their problem? Can you do what you say you can do? Okay. During your launch, you're going to show them that you actually can. This is why, if you're new or if you don't have enough clients, this is why putting on a launch can be so impactful for your business, because it's putting you in a position to show people that you can do what you say you can do, right? When you launch, they're going to see it. Okay. So when I would minister in church, I never said to people, oh, I'm prophetic, or I'm a prophet. I never say that to anybody, right? But when I speak, when I prophesy, they see it. Okay. And they say it to me. They call me a prophet. They call me prophetic, because they see me in that element. Okay. And so I said that to say, when you're launching, people will see your expertise and identify you as an expert. They will identify you as the go-to person. I'm telling you, if you want to outpace your competitors, and even though, you guys, it's not really about we have to be competitive, but not. And I want to see if I can explain that in a way that doesn't sound contradictory, right? Because guess what? If the person doesn't buy from you, they're going to buy from somebody. Okay. If you don't have an offer, people are skipping over you and they're going to buy from somebody who does have an offer. Okay. And so in that sense, we do have competitors, because I'm not the only person who teaches about branding. I'm not the only person who helps with messaging, right? I have a friend who teaches on. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of friends who teach on branding and building on online businesses. Okay, and so and listen, it's not only just us, right? If I have like a handful of friends and we all teach on branding and building online businesses, that's just a very, very small fraction of people who are talking about the same thing, right? So we do have competitors, but at the same time, we don't use that as like a catty or like a nasty type of thing, right? Because I think it's a good idea to look at your competitors and see what they're offering, and get an understanding of what they do, so you can figure out how your offer fits into the marketplace, right? And you can really figure out how your offer is different when you understand what your competitors are offering. Because for me, in essence, I don't necessarily want to look at what my competitors are doing to fight with them, or or cause any issues, because there's enough space for all of us to be successful. However, I do want to see what they're offering, because I need to be able to differentiate my offer from theirs. Because some of my ideal clients want to know, well, why should I hire you versus that person? And then I can talk to them about how you're going to be hard pressed to find somebody who can help you launch your program, who can help you create your content for your launch, who can help you to write the copy for your sales page, and to help you to write your sales sequence when it comes to launching. Now, there's some people who help with different aspects, but my clients, they get a copywriter, they get a marketer, they get a copywriter, and they get someone who's skilled in technology all in one. Okay. When it comes to behind the scenes technology, funnels and things like that, writing copy, putting together offers, and creating launch content and things like that, and creating content in general, I am your girl. But I only know that my offer is different because I know what my competitors are offering as well. So if you're in a place where you're ready to really start outpacing your competitors, so that people will actually start to identify you as a person that who's ready, you're open for business, and you're ready for service, then you should definitely consider launching, and not just once, but like on a regular basis. Just like how I talk to my clients about putting out content every week, launching should also be a regular part of your business strategy, a regular part of your business plan. So in essence, we've talked a lot about launching, you guys. Like we have really, like, this is a whole listen, this should probably be a whole series. But we talked a lot about launching over this past 55 minutes to an hour. And if you have watched this and you're like, listen, I need some help. I want to put together a launch and I need somebody to help me to do this thing step by step. Just feel free to reach out and let me know that that's something that you're interested in doing. And if you'd like my help, I will be happy to help you to launch your program. So also, for those of you who I talked to you about earlier about my invitation only brand messaging intensive that's coming up very soon. And I know I still have a few people I need to send out the information to. So if you're watching me and you have inquired about the brand messaging intensive, I'll be getting that information out to you very soon. We're going to be focusing on your messaging around everything around your brand, your messaging around your social media posts, messaging around your offers, messaging when you're in the DMs. We're going to focus on your messaging for your launches. So we're going to take the whole it's a six session intensive. And we're going to take that whole time and just really do a deep dive and focus in on all of your messaging. Not just, I know we're talking about launching today, and we are going to cover launching in the intensive, but we're going to talk about messaging for your entire, all the important things around building your brand online. Okay. Now, if you're not in my Facebook group, I'm going to invite you to join me inside of my Facebook group. I know that some of you are already inside the Facebook group, and that's where you watch me from. If you're watching me on LinkedIn or YouTube, or from my Facebook page, I want to encourage you to come on over, join us inside of the Facebook group. I'm working on revamping some things and providing you with some fresh content inside of the Facebook group. But come on over and join us inside of the Facebook group. And the Facebook group is called Coaches, Consultants, and Experts, 6-Figure Sales Strategies. Okay. Come on over and join us inside of the Facebook group. And oh, did I miss something? Okay, I thought I missed a comment. That was weird. I just saw a notification pop up, and I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody's comment. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you back here the same time in the same place next Thursday. Have a happy Thursday and a beautiful weekend, and I'll be seeing you again soon.